Alright, so we have quite a car today. The Lamborghini Huracan LP 610-4. So that means four-wheel drive, that means 600 horsepower, that means really fast and extreme. I'm going to put it in Corsa. Stability control off, thank you beep. Make sure our data logger's going. And we should be good to go. I drove this car last year, an early version. This is a European spec model. It's not a US spec model. What that means, who knows? But it should make for an interesting car around the figure eight. I'm gonna warm up a little bit. I can already tell you it's going to be very fast. Very fast. I'm trying to challenge the brakes there. It's not getting the braking force or the stopping power that I'd like to match the potency of this engine. So we're going really fast on the straights here. I'm seeing 90 on the speedo. Who knows if that's actually accurate, but good initial bite on the brakes, but the braking power doesn't seem to come in as much as I like. And the throttle is extremely sensitive in this Corsa mode. It feels like I'm blipping, I'm chopping, I'm trying to be smooth as possible on the throttle, but it's so razor sensitive. And being caught up in between third and fourth gear is not helping because it's making planning the braking points difficult. Able to short shift. That's kind of just a function of how short the straight is on the figure eight. Too much power, not enough stopping force. A lot of speed. I wish the transmission would upshift automatically, but give you control over the downshifts. When you're in Corsa mode, it locks you into manual mode. And it's really easy to kiss redline in this car. Try Sport instead of Corsa. Those are temps. Temps are okay. Our tire temps are definitely up, but I kind of want to see how Sport feels versus Corsa. fast car. Thoughts? Exceptionally fast. This is on the straight, it's accelerating to similar speeds, just looking at the speedometer here, as the 918. I'm seeing 90 miles an hour before I jump on the brakes. That's really fast on this. The only car I think I've ever seen get that high is the 918, and maybe the Z06. I mean, that's incredible speed. What makes it difficult is it's so fast that it gets caught up between third and fourth gear, and that normally doesn't happen. Most cars get caught up between second and third gear on the braking entry zone for the figure eight, and it's third and fourth. So that tells you this is moving at a very high rate of speed. The body control is good. Feels I'm not noticing a lot of roll. I'm not noticing a lot of undesirable traits in terms of the body control. It definitely is biased towards stability. I mean, that's just something you can't fight. There's not a lot of movement from the car, especially on power. Hopping on throttle on this car really stabilizes it to the point where it's almost understeer. And in fact, it is understeer when you start getting on throttle. It doesn't really help the car turn on power, and it was most noticeable at the edge of the figure eight. On the figure eight, you basically want to ride the line of the cones. That's how you measure lateral accel. And so my goal is to exit with my right tire basically at that cone and my left tire on the other cone for the other turn. And the way this car stabilizes on the initial throttle bite makes it pull wide. So you kind of have to wait to accelerate to drive the course properly. I mean, you can drive the course a lot faster by going way wide like this and, you know, using a lot of throttle to get out, but that's not the right way to run this course. And I'm plenty guilty of running it wrong with some cars. This car made it difficult to get out on line because whenever I'd really go to throttle, when I'd really get to push it hard, it would push a lot. The front end would wash out right here like that, and that's not desirable. After that, then it would go into an oversteer. Just a very, very, very subtle, slight oversteer. You probably saw me doing a little bit of correction out of the corner. Not big, and it was controllable enough where it was easy to keep the throttle pinned and just steer through it. That's nothing big. That's Corsa mode. When I went to Sport, it was interesting because when I would do throttle lifts, the car would actually rotate more, which helped it get around the figure eight, in my mind, better. We'll see what the lap times say if that's actually was a benefit. But it felt better to me to be able to control the angle of the car with the throttle, because basically when you're in the corner, you basically have one steering input ideally that takes you around, and you don't change that. You just keep your constant steering input like this, and that's all the steering you should be doing during the skid pad. Not thinking about any major corrections. So if I can adjust the nature of the car with the throttle, that helps. It didn't seem to want to do that in Corsa, which was interesting. The car's definitely stable, definitely monstrously fast. Is it the most thrilling driving machine? No, but I mean, it sounds the part, it looks the part. It's not particularly bad. I'm not to insult it. It's still a wonderful amount of theater. The other thing with the brakes, this car is going so fast into this braking zone that it's almost hard to fault the stopping power because you're dealing with so much speed. So, I mean, I can't underscore or emphasize how fast this car is. That's the biggest trait. But the trade-off is, if you're building all the speed, you gotta stop with the speed at some point. And the braking power, it felt adequate, but I wish there was a little bit more bite at the tail end. Like the initial bite on the brakes felt good, but then it didn't get any better from that. It may be a function, we're on carbon ceramics, but we're on P0 tires. We're not on anything more aggressive than P0, so it's probably a function of just the nature of P0s, and of course mixed with the immense amount of speed this car has. All in all, really, nice. Probably one of the best handling Lamborghinis ever. They're certainly making their game better, and the body control, the body feels tight and rigid. The steering feels good. I mean, there's not a ton of feedback coming through it, but it's enough to be able to point the car around. Altogether, a really, really pleasant, nice car.